What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to do a little boat work. For those of you that don't know, over the last few years I have been rebuilding an old 1995 Hewes Bonefisher, one of the first flat skiffs I ever fished on, one of my favorite flats boats of all time, really. I think a great all-around skiff, good for my needs. You know, I had a few other boats in my life. My last skiff was a little salt marsh, a little technical Poland skiff. Great boat, but you know, very single purpose. This is a much more multi-purpose boat. It's not going to get as shallow as the new age skiffs do, but realistically for our fishery it gets shallow enough. I mean, I can float fully loaded, kitted out for a fishing day in, you know, less than 8 inches of water, which, you know, for what we do is good enough. But it also allows me a lot of big water capability for going to the Keys. You know, it's a little more roomy for the family if we're just doing beach days, or you know, the kid's gonna get a little older, she's gonna want, you know, I'm gonna take her fishing. So you know, it was just a good option for me. So first I'll take you on a little spin around the boat, just kind of show you what we've done. You know, she's pretty well put together at this point, but now you kind of get into the maintenance and stuff. So we'll get into that and I'll show you what I'm working on today. But first let's do a little walk around the boat, shall we? Alright, so this is her. She's a 1995 Bonefisher. Originally she was brick red with a white cat. We took her all the way down to the fiberglass. Well, I guess not quite all the way down to the fiberglass, but some places, yeah. Some places we had to, we just took it down to the gel coat. And we painted her. So this is all craft, Craft 2000. There you go. Paint, it's you know, high quality marine paint. Boys over at On the Fly Skiff Works took care of that for me. I don't have the capability or the skill set for the painting, so the paint and the non-skid, which is also all craft, all done over at On the Fly. However, all of the electrical work, all of the, sorry about all the mess, all the electrical work, all the plumbing, all the wiring, all the rigging, everything you see other than the paint and the body work was done by yours truly. You can see this console. This is not how the old Hewes were set up. That console there came from Marine Fiberglass Direct down in Florida. It's one of their standard consoles, and that's actually what we're going to be working on today. So I'll show you on the inside once we kind of get to the point of working on this thing. But the guys over at On the Fly had helped me mount this, so instead of having external bolts all through the floor, they fiberglassed in a couple blocks for me on the inside, and then we just used a couple pieces of angled you know, aluminum to screw in from the side. So just over time of wear and me being hard on the steering wheel, this one side has loosened up and the screw is actually stripped out, so we're gonna have to repair that, but I'll show you what I'm doing in there. But yeah, so I'll offset this console. This gives me a lot more walking around room. I have a actually Sea Sucker is a company, but Sea Sucker rod holder that goes on there, because I don't like the rod holders on there all the time. So especially when I'm fly fishing, it's just something else in the way. But when I am going out gear fishing or whatever, I can pop that thing on. It holds 3 rod holders, you know, vertical rods. It's great. This is one of my favorite parts of the boat. Folks over at New Wire Marine rigged me up this switch panel, and it's badass. It backlights from the inside at night, so when my nav lights go on, that Hewes logo in the center there lights up. It's just cool. And it's green, which matches the green under gunnel lighting that's on this skiff for those nighttime runs. The aluminum work was also done by On the Fly. This was a custom built platform. We had 2 iterations before we got it completely right, but added the flip down backrest, which I don't know if you have one on your skiff or not, but if you don't, you need to find a way to get one. It's an absolute game changer. Also took off the old C90 Yamaha and replaced it with a brand new F70 out of the crate from Yamaha. Just a beautiful motor, pound for pound, one of my favorite motors I think that Yamaha's built in a long time. The layout of this boat though was fairly the same. I didn't change a whole lot of things. These came with this big dry hatch here, factory, and this is, oh yeah, Paul Puckett did me a little artwork there. Got to show off the bling. But overall, just a big, nice dry storage area. I try to keep it fairly organized with all my junk. But yep, leader materials and stuff. I usually stack my flies and things in here, turtle box, whatnot, and then over there's just all the essentials: sunscreen, bug spray, etc., etc., etc. Walking on around. This rear hatch is a live well. I did keep it plumbed, replumbed it, redid everything, put some lighting in there, bilge coated it, just dressed it up a little bit. 99.99% of the time that's a trash can, but every once in a while we might use it for its actual purpose. The actual bilge access back here, you'll notice I'm kind of pulling hard on those hinges. These are all friction hinges from Jim Lux. Out of all the factory hinges were all replaced with the friction hinges. Makes it a little stiff to open, but it keeps them open, and I don't have to have any straps or anything like that. The only hatch that doesn't have it is the live well, and I left that so that it could swing a full 180 and open all the way up for swinging a cast net and that kind of thing in there. So here's the bilge. Live well pump. I did bilge coat all this. Got a little stain in there when I was working. I got some fuel on it. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I need to really grind it down and redo it. Could probably use a little wipe down for mildew, but nothing fancy. Just try to keep the wiring clean as I can. Fuel separator, all that stuff. And then over here is my mechanical hatch under the seat here. I moved the battery and everything out of the console, put it into this, which used to be another little live well, I believe. I'm not really sure, but this is my mechanical hatch. So got all my wiring rigged through here. Fire extinguisher, first aid kit, tool kit, flares, all that stuff. All your mechanics are in here, which I like. It's simple, clean, little AGM battery, nothing fancy. I also installed cup holders on both sides because I'm bougie like that. And then, yeah, basic, I kept it very simple. I have the Lowrance Elite 9 that goes up here. Great little unit, just pops on and off. It's got transducer and everything back there. Brand new Lincos. This boat is, you know, great, but you gotta have them trim tabs. And then just basic stuff, standard Yamaha tack, you know, Yamaha gauges. I did replace the old cable steering with brand new C-Star steering system, or Baystar I should say. In here, hatch was custom built, all stainless, all that. This is where we're going to be working today. I'll turn some lights on, we'll get in there and I'll show you what I'm doing. But you can see that L bracket down there on the floor. That is what we got to fix. And I'll show you what I'm going to do that, but we'll get to it. Other than that, got our casting platform here also from On the Fly, and they built that beautiful. Also a second iteration. I made the first one a little tall, and the supplies for our job today. Yeah. So here we go. This opens up. Nothing much in here, just big hatch. We got the fuel cell in the front. There's the trolling motor battery. It's a lithium ion, or not lithium ion, I'm sorry, lithium phosphate, 24 volt, 100 amp hour trolling motor battery. And the storage, rod tubes, all that stuff. Nothing crazy going on in there. Lots of storage though. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, just cool old boat, you know. It's like old classic cars, right? You know, you gotta love them. They take a lot of attention and time. But I love mine, so we're going to keep her up, keep her going. So all right, let's move on to getting this thing fixed. I got stuff to do today. I can't be fooling around all day. Okay, so like I said, this console, I'm going to flip this around so you can see it, but this console is mounted to the floor of the boat with these L brackets here, which are drilled into these fiberglass blocks that were glassed into the side of the console. This console didn't come built like this. The guys at On the Fly custom out that little option for me so that we can mount it in this way, which I like, and it's mounted in 4 points. Now this screw up here, this one right at the tip there that goes into the console, has loosened up, and the reason, probably just vibration, yeah, whatever. But the problem is it has also worn out the hole, so it's stripped out. So what I got to do is I'm going to back these screws out, take that L bracket off of there, and then I'm going to tap that hole out a little wider, fill it with some thickened epoxy, re-tap the hole, and then put the screws back. So that's the play, that's the plan. We're going to see if it works out. All right, here we go.
Always figure out what went so damn wrong. There's nothing you can do to make me change, 'cause this old heart is made of stone. As the sun lies asleep behind the trees, hear the wind gonna sing me a song. Oh, I'm gonna find my way home, going back to a place I ain't never been. There's no other way I'm gonna make it through until I just get lost again. Just get lost again.
So, like any good boat project, fiddling around in here, I realized I've got a couple other screws coming loose, mostly out of the floor, which kind of makes sense. It's a thin fiberglass, you know, filled floor, so there's not a lot of structure under there. So I'm going to pull one more of these L brackets off that's already a little loose, and then I'm going to tap those holes that are in the floor out. And while I got this thickened out, I'm just going to fill plugs in all of those spaces and then retap them. So that'll be there'll be 4 more holes, but once again, this thickened stuff should work pretty good. Now, test fitting it. Doing the floor ones shouldn't be a problem with this. I may have some trouble getting to that one on the side, so I'm gonna pump it as full as I can, and then I'm probably gonna have to try to, I don't know, see if I got a syringe laying around or something somewhere and see if I can inject it in there like a turkey baster or something. I don't know, I'm gonna figure that one out just because I can't get the caulking gun in there, but I can get the caulking gun to these floor ones, so I'll probably just caulking gun that and then maybe find an old syringe somewhere that I can use to do the other. So we'll find out. Here we go.
Let the tide rise up and take our soul. Yeah, finally, it's where I want to be. It's where I want to be. Oh, but I'm gonna find my way home, going back to a place I ain't never been. There's no other way I'm gonna make it through till I just get lost again. Get lost again. Just get lost again.
Okay, so we're gonna use this West System Thicken Epoxy. It's got this nozzle that mixes the parts as it comes out, so that the product, when it pops out, is ready to rock and roll thickened epoxy. We don't have to mix it. I don't have to do any work. And it's got a plug. You can reseal this, and you can buy extra tips for these. So I got a couple projects coming up where I can use this. And you know, typically I would have just mixed some epoxy and used some silica or something to thick it, but decided to try this, and it's got the dispenser nozzle. Now the trick is, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to get it in there, so I may end up having to just squirt this out onto something and then work it in there the old way, but I'm hoping that I can get this to fit, but we're going to find out. Okay, here we go.
It won't tall grass till you crawl. Never have enough till you got it all. Don't know how high till one day you fall. You ain't seen the best of me. You couldn't be happy.
Okay, so we can see, let's see if I can't get a little light on that. So you can see this plug now is filled with thickened epoxy. That's going to harden up real nice. I've done that there, and then there's 2 holes here as well that are also filled. You know, I'm gonna get a syringe or something for this one up on the side because I can't get the plunger and caulking gun all up in here. It's just too narrow between these 2 sides. So I'm gonna have to get a syringe and inject it in there, which is fine. I'm just doing some mental debating now whether I want to tap this one out while I've got a syringe, while I've got the glue, and just do them both. I don't know yet, but we're gonna find out. I mean, the other solution, another thing I could have done, which would have been a cheating way to do it, would be to just have moved the bracket over a little bit, tap new screws, holes in. But the problem that is, if these pulled out, because you know, like I said, this floor is foam filled, just a you know, closed cell foam, and it's got probably, I don't know, 2 mil, 3 mil fiberglass on top of that foam. It's not very thick. So that's all the screws really had to bite on, was the thin fiberglass, and just that vibration and movement alone is going to cause that to pull out. By putting this epoxy plug in there, now that screw has a much larger surface to bite. That epoxy should adhere really well to the fiberglass. You know, it's not going to adhere much to the foam, but when that screw goes down in there, it's going to expand that thing out, and it creates a little more of a bite in there. You know, if this doesn't hold for any extended period of time, the solution may end up being cut a slit out of this, lay a piece of Kusa or something else in there, you know, a thin piece of Kusa or something hard fiberboard, and then glass over that, and then tap holes into it, you know, so that you have a plate under there that it's biting to. But that's obviously a bigger job, and it'd be, you know, probably involve pulling the whole console up, and you know, I just don't want to get into all that, you know, which, you know, it's just a lot. So I think these plugs are going to work. We're going to try it and see, but I'm going to get a syringe so I can get some juice into that one, and then I got to take a kind of feel around on these over here. I may end up tapping them out and just doing them too, once again, while we're here, so that I won't make a big mess on top of these. I'm going to put a little piece of tape on each one of these, so next shot you see may just be with some blue tape on them, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just protecting that epoxy. So
Cry. Won't really know life till the day you die. Can't be caught cheating till tell a lie. You ain't seen the best of me. You ain't seen the best of me. I gone on for 2 days long trying to be something I can't be. You ain't seen the best of me. You'll never see the best of me.
okay, so found a syringe laying around my house, probably from the hospital. I have no idea, but anyway, just gonna take this guy and we'll pull the plunger, and we're just gonna fill it with some epoxy from this guy, and then I should be able to get in there and fill those holes. So let's get that going.
A little salt and water don't always make it to see. Son of a lemon can't make sweet tea. If it's best for you, I'll just let you be. You ain't seen the best of me. You think you can fly 'cause your feet don't touch the ground. We all hear you so loud you don't even make a sound. When you dust, you always wanna see you're found. You ain't seen the best of me. You ain't seen the best of me. I've gone on for too damn long trying to be someone I can't be. You ain't seen the best of me. You ain't seen the best of me. You ain't seen the best of me.
Okay, well, that actually worked out pretty well so far. I mean, it's got a cure and I got to tap it, and we'll see how it holds up over time. But I mean, it's going to be more stable than just, you know, the thin fiberglass that it was holding to. So I can't see it being too bad. I mean, this is not a big heavy console. This is not like something if you had a big center console or something like that where it needs to be like structural. This is probably really only loosened up just due to vibration. You know, the guys, they did a great job when they mounted it. They did use some silicone and stuff in there to try to seal it up, keep that vibration from wiggling those bolts. So when I put these back in, I'm also going to be using a silicone. I may even use an adhesive like 4200 or something. Probably wouldn't go as hard as 5200 because this is something that may need to be removed at some point. An old timer once told me, you know, if you ever want to be able to take it off again, you put 4200 on it. If you want it there forever, you put 5200 on it. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm doing things. You know, 5200 for me is something I never ever want to take off. 4200, you know, is not easy to get off, but it will come off if you have to. The safe bet though is probably just to use a silicone, but you know me, I tend to do things a little overkill, so we'll see. I don't know, I'll make that call when I get to it. I've got both laying around, so it's not a big deal one way or the other. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean up the silicone or the epoxy mess. I'm gonna get a razor blade out and take some of this old caulking out, I think, while it's loose, and I can get to it real easy. And then hopefully this afternoon we'll see how that goes. But this if you're needing to do some repairs and you're looking for epoxy and you're going to glue something down, or you're going to do what I did and you need to fill some old screw holes and, you know, to replace screws, this is the first time using this for me. I've seen a lot of it online with guys working on boats. You know, there's different companies that make the Thixo. I think Total Boat makes a Thixo. This is the West Systems version of it, but I'm impressed. It's easy, man. It's very easy. So we'll see if it actually pulls the job off or not, but so far it's been at least easy to use, so that's great. Alright, so I'm not going to caulk the whole console, just these sides here and here. That got kind of pulled up as the screws came loose because that caulk kind of got loose. And you know, the white caulk gets dingy over time. That's just the price you pay for putting white down. I just don't, you know, clear would be the solution to that. But the problem that I faced, one, the white looks better on this particular boat because of the way I have the layout, but two, this console is not made for this floor, and these floors are not perfectly flat. It's a 35-year-old boat. We did a lot of fairing, a lot of sanding to get these floors right, but they're gonna have little sags and dips and things like that. So you'll notice there's a pretty large bead of caulk on the front of this console, whereas the rear of the console is almost no bead of caulk. And that's because the rear sits a lot more flush and low to the ground. This is, as much as I love this and I think it's a great purchase, and I think Marine Fiberglass Direct does a great job, it's also not perfectly square. So you add in a not perfectly square floor with a not perfectly square console, and you're gonna have little gaps and ridges. So in those areas with the large gaps, I don't like the look of clear caulk in those places. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's the way you want to do it, it's your boat. But this is my boat, and in my boat I don't like that. So I like the white caulk if I'm gonna have a larger gap like that. It just, you know, somehow the clear looks sloppy to me. I know that sounds stupid, but it does. So yeah, anyway, so this front edge has a pretty wide band of caulk, and it came loose when the console was wiggling. The side here starts pretty wide, gets very thin, but also came loose when it was wiggling. The other side, A, is on the back corner. I don't see it much, so I don't care so much. And the front is pretty tight to the deck, so I don't see, there's not a bunch of caulk there. So I'm just gonna go to the corners on the back, and I'm gonna go to the corner here, and I'm just gonna blend that in. So if you're looking real close, you'll see some dingy caulk meeting some white caulk, and you might say, Mike, that's gonna look bad. And I would say, then don't come fishing on my boat. You know, if you can't deal with that, that's just the way it's gonna happen. So, all right, I'm gonna tape this down. So I got a bead of tape on the console, and I'm gonna put a bead of tape on the floor so that when I come back and caulk this, I'll probably lift it a little bit, so we're a little caulk underneath, and then let it sit down. I'll mount those screws, and then I'm gonna come back and lay a bead of caulk on it just like you would if you were doing trim at your house or something like that, and use my finger and just smooth it out, make it look as good as we can, pull the tape off, hopefully have nice clean lines. That is the plan, so let's see how it goes. Get up. Oh, Jesus, I'm getting too old for boat shit. All right. Okay. That's it for now. We'll just gotta wait on that epoxy inside to cure, and let's have a little breathing in there. And then I'll come back out this afternoon, and we'll see about tapping those screws back in and laying a bead of caulk down. Maybe we'll go fishing tomorrow. We'll see. Well, day 2 on this project. I decided yesterday afternoon to let that epoxy cure overnight and give it a full 24 hours to harden up before I tapped into it. It was solid last night, but just one of those things, I didn't really feel like getting into it. So as you can see, it's beautiful outside, and I'm not fishing because, well, in the end, it's probably the right thing to do. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to take those holes that we filled yesterday. I'm going to pre-tap them and mount the plates back in. Once that's done, and before I secure it, I'm going to re-caulk the edge to the console as well. So we're going to do all that now. But first, if you don't have a turtle box, well, you should. So I suggest getting a turtle box. They've been really kind to us and sponsor our podcast, and in turn are sponsoring these videos, I guess. I don't know. They don't give us any money. They just, let us say their name in public, which I guess is kind of cool. But I will say this, especially having a small boat like this, where, you know, simplicity is key in my book. The more crap you put in a boat, the more stuff's gonna break. That's the way it works. So you're better off having less wiring, less crap essentially in your boat. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good boat stereo system, but anybody that's ever had a stereo system in their boat understands that you're constantly having to work on it. You're replacing wires, you're replacing speakers, you're replacing equipment. That turtle box right there is as loud and effective on my boat as a stereo system. I can take it with me other places if I'm hanging out, or, you know, at the beach or whatever, and it's completely waterproof. It's bomb proof. You can throw the thing off a cliff, it's fine. There's nothing to work on. I plug it in and charge it up when I get home. That's it. If it ever goes bad, I call Turtle Box. It's not a big deal. So if you haven't got one, I suggest you look into it. It is a bit of a, you know, investment. They're not cheap. However, you know, it's the last Bluetooth speaker or any speaker you'll have to buy, and I guarantee that it is less hassle and less work than any stereo system you can put in your boat. So this video brought to you by Turtle Box. Yeehaw. Okay, so like I said, we're going to tap these holes. So what I'm going to do first, is we'll take the tape off that I covered it with. I'm going to mark the center of the holes in the floor, and I'm going to tap those and then go ahead and put the screws in. I'm not going to finally mount them, I'm just going to get them in there firm so that I can use the location to make sure and mark the holes. You know, in a perfect world, these are going to line up with the plugs I made. If not, we may need to adjust the placement a little bit, so we're going to figure that out. But I at least want a couple of them centered over those plugs we created yesterday. So we're going to do that now. Okay, I want you to look at how nice those are. Yeah, so you can see that epoxy plug there, really nicely filled. We got some more here, two here, and those are going to work really well to hopefully bite those screws really nice. So what we got to do now, we're just going to pick out a drill bit. We'll get us close to the diameter of these screws. That's a little too big. That ought to do it. So just like with fiberglass, you want to pre-drill all your holes with this stuff, otherwise you're going to crack and damage that. So you want to make it not quite the diameter of the screw, but not just under it, just so the edges of those threads bite. And then I'm also going to put some 52 or 4200 on these, sorry, not 52, 4200 on these. Whenever I put them in, it's going to act as a caulk sealant, and it's going to prevent vibration from loosening these up. But 4200, like I said before, you can get it back off. 5200, maybe not. You never know, depends. So first we're going to mark these centers for drilling. Alright, so that's one. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other ones. That's very, very nice and tight. That's fast secure 4200, so it should sit up in the next half hour or so and be hard, you know, add a little more security to those bolts. I don't want to anticipate needing to do this for a long time. I mean, it was 2 years before the first set rolled out, but they didn't have the epoxy plug. Like I said, the long-term fix really would be to pull the whole console off, cut some sections in the floor, and install like Kusa mounting blocks essentially in the floor, and then glass over that, redo this non-skid, and then you'd have hard plates to actually mount your console to. But that's a bit overkill for as light of a console as this is. I think these little epoxy plugs are going to fix the problem I have. You know, at some point maybe the other two plates will vibrate themselves loose, and we'll have to repeat this on those, but for now I think we're probably going to be good for a little while. So I'm going to do this next one. Alright, well, now we're going to caulk. So caulking gun, got some Sika. This is just white silicone caulk, Sika Sil. It's not you know, an adhesive, so to speak, so we're not using 4200, 5200, something like that. So little tip I didn't know, bought this caulking gun a long time ago. You know, you're always using a pocket knife to like open the tips of these things. These guns come with a cutter. See that little hole right there? It's got a blade in it. I don't know what to tell you. I've been using caulking guns wrong my entire life. So you just put the tip in. We want a slant, of course. I want a pretty thin bead here, so I mean, what the hell? Nobody was going to tell me about this? Look at that. See that? Just ridiculous. Alright, anyway, whatever, moving on. Apparently I'm dumb. I'm sure some of y'all knew that. I didn't know that. Anyway, so we're going to load this guy up. Tip down. Okay. Helps if you spike it. This is that deeper crack, so I gotta make sure it fills in behind there. Alright. So we're not just doing the external here, we're trying to make sure it packs it in there. So I'm gonna go over it once. Do another little swipe. I'm gonna need to get that corner a little better. This Sika Sil has a really good flexibility to it as well, which is, you know, another reason to use it in an application like this, because, you know, these consoles do flex and move. This floor is not, you know, solid as a rock. It's gonna flex, it's gonna move, so having a little bit of flexibility is key in this joint. Do a little more in this corner here. Yeah, I'm just using my finger to kind of pack this in and get the shape that I want. And then we'll peel this tape off and we should have a nice clean line. So. Nope. Well, that's pretty much it. You know, I'm definitely not a boat mechanic, so anything you saw done here, you should probably research before you do on your own. You can see my work's not the prettiest, but you know, it's my boat. It's just general maintenance stuff. Just trying to make it a little better where I can, but the end result is this console is now rock solid again. The caulk has been replaced, so you know that's sealed up down there. It looks okay, and I can go fishing. Most important thing, I can go fishing again. So hopefully maybe tomorrow I'll splash this thing and take her for a drive and do a little fishing and see how it goes. So go from there. All right.